Okay, Tisha B'Av. We all know that the reason that caused Tisha B'Av, anyone have any idea why we have Tisha B'Av? Where does it come from? The spy, the sin of the spy.
Yeah.
Okay, what else? We said two last week. You already forgot. No. We said the sin of the spy of?
The report back.
Yeah, that's the sin of the spy, the report.
Yeah. And the golden calf. Oh, the golden calf, he's right.
The golden calf, that's it too. Okay, now we have to understand why Dafka in Tet B'Av. Why is that day been chosen? So we know that when the spy came and given the report, and they spoke Lashon Hara. You remember they spoke Lashon Hara about Eretz Israel. And they say that they was crying. The Torah tells us that Am Israel was crying. Our sages say, Hazal say, in Masechet Ta'anit, if I'm not mistaken, Atem bechitem, that you cried, a cry for no reason, bechiyah shel stam, that means you just cry. For what you cry? Because you hear the false report that the Meraglim brought, you starting to cry that I'm taking you to such a land. And you find yourself crying for nothing. I'll give you a cry for nothing for generation. And that was on Tisha B'Av. What's happened in Tisha B'Av? Number one, that caused that we know that 5 terrible things happened in Tisha B'Av. We have to understand. The first thing started that after the spy came and brought the report and the Jewish people was complaining, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a decree that every person that was over the age of 20 to the age of 60 will not enter Eretz Israel. That means that he have to die and a wondrous. That's the first thing that happened. The second thing that happened, the destruction of the first temple happened, Tisha B'Av. The second temple also got destroyed on Tisha B'Av. So from here we see 3 things. The fourth thing that happened to Am Israel, and it was one of the worst things, is when they took the city of Beitar. And when they managed to conquer the city of Beitar, they actually murdered and slaughtered all the members of the city. Not only that we say that they made from it a fence, our sages say. So that was the fourth one. The third one is Tornos Rofus. Tornos Rofus Arasha, when he managed to enter Yerushalayim, after the wall got broken, what he done, he destroyed the Hechal HaKodesh. Not only that he destroyed what he made from it, it's like when person want to prepare ground. He starts putting the machinery that no weeds there is. That's what he done to Hechal HaKodesh. He destroyed Bet HaMikdash completely. But it wasn't enough for him that he actually plowed. So for those 5 things that happened to Am Israel, Hazal tell us that we obligated to fast on Tisha B'Av. Now I'm not going to go to law of Tisha B'Av because we spoke about it last year, but I would like to give a bit of indication for us what's happened during the time of the destruction. So after the destruction of the first temple, that's been happened by the Babylonian. You remember the first show that we spoke, who destroyed who? So the Babylonian that destroyed, Hazal say that immediately after the destruction, and the Jewish people gone to exile already to Babylon. You remember with Nebuchadnezzar Rasha? Was the bird that was in Eretz Israel and the fish gone to exile with them. That means that for 52 years, Hazal say that not one bird flew in Eretz Israel. Not only in Yerushalayim, in the entire Eretz Israel. You couldn't see a bird flying in Eretz Israel. They're all gone with them to exile to Babylon. Worse than that, for 7 years, people cannot plant nothing in Israel, in Jerusalem, especially in Jerusalem. Why? Because the ground turned to sofa. And the Midrash tells us that the person tried, a goy that was in Eretz Israel, tried to plant. And he put seed. And he saw the seed actually burning. Couldn't understand. So he tried again, and a little bit of the ground touched his hand, and it actually burned his hand. For 7 years, nothing grew up in Eretz Israel after the destruction. Now we're talking about after the first destruction, Rabotai. From here we see, where's the hint for it? Where's the hint for it? We'll get to it now. From here we see that after the destruction, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gone with Am Yisrael, the Shekhinah, the presence of Hashem, gone down to Babylon. So now you can ask me a question. אף פעם לא זזה השכינה מירושלים, מהכותל המערבי, our sages say. Second of all, where is the hint for it? Where do we learn that? So in Sefer Devarim, when we read some of the curses, what's going to happen, Haz v'Shalom, if we not obey the law of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Moshe Rabbeinu warned the Jewish people, and he tell them that the land going to turn gufrit, that's a sofa, v'melach, melach is salt, srefa, that means that burn, kol arza, that means nothing can grow in Eretz Israel if you're not going to keep the law. If you're not going to keep the law, you're not going to obey the law of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, nothing will grow. Now I want to give you an example. You all know Gush Katif. Is anyone here that doesn't know Gush Katif? You don't know? Okay, there's few. Okay, so I'll explain. Gush Katif, today, it's where Gaza is. They took part of Gush Katif. You remember around 8 years ago, 9 years ago, was a guy by the name of Arik Sharon. Anyone heard about him? Yeah. Everyone. Arik Sharon decided that he's going to give Gush Katif to make peace with our cousin that today is sending Messar. It was agreement. And we saw what's coming. But when they give Gush Katif, they didn't destroy nothing. Those people that used to work in Gush Katif used to be from Gaza. And they took the land and they tried. And they say whatever they tried, they used to work. For a Jewish person as a subcontract, nothing growing. So they've been interviewing a guy that was exporting flowers. And he was here as a shaliach. His father-in-law was one of the guy that grew up flower, and he used to send them to Europe. And he was there for 32 years, and then they took it from him. Today he doesn't have a job, doesn't have a place. It's a big story. But that's not the point. The point is like this, that the work is foreign. And they say, we used to work for you for so many years. You say, yes, so. They say, we're trying to grow up those flowers. Nothing grow. He said, what do you mean? You know the job. I taught you everything. He said, boss, nothing growing. So Eretz Israel, Rabotai, it's a land that's all miracle. For how many years the Jordanian have the south, the Arava, that's mean by the Dead Sea, all of those kibbutzim, nothing grown up there. If you go down there today, it's one of the most business, the profit business they do from there. Why? Because they grow up a lot of vegetables without any insects. Now you explain to me if that's not a miracle. The Jordanian have it for many years, many people before, nothing growing. You go and you look, come a Jewish person, that's not a miracle. But the same worker that worked there in Gaza, next to Gaza, nothing grows. So you know what they turn it? They destroy everything. Besides that, they burn the Batei Knesset that was there, the shul. You all saw it in a TV. Nothing growing there. Instead, we know what we got. We got tunnels that going right to Eretz Israel. So what does it come to tell us? It's come to tell us something very important. It's come to tell us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu given us a land that works only by miracle. Not everyone can take Eretz Israel and get prosperity. And just for us to understand, wherever the Jewish people was prosperity. Look at Spain today, that they're asking the Jewish people to come back. Not only to come back, they're willing to give them the property that they used to have before. Why? Because the Spanish government realized when a Jew comes, he brings the brocha. The prosperity come with him. And that's what the prophet Yirmiyah tells us. And now we'll see about Echa. The book of Echa been written by Yirmiyah, Prophet Yirmiyah, we all know. He lived during the first destruction. Remember, during the first destruction. You know how many times the book of Echa been written? Anyone have any idea? The book of Echa, how many times been written? It's been written twice. Why? Because the prophet Yirmiyah, when he wrote it, the king Yoyachin, that was a wicked king, a Jewish king, he burned it. Shortly after he died, immediately after that, Yirmiyah wrote it again. Now, the book of Echa. Echa, where is it mentioned the word Echa before in our Torah? I'm going to give you a hint. Before, that's Moshe Rabbeinu say, Echa esa levadi et ha'am hazeh. Now, we read. No, before. I'll give you a hint. Sefer Bereshit. Ayeka. What's happened with Ayeka? Aleph, Yud.
Where's your brother?
Kaf. Hey, no. Before. Ayeka. Adam HaRishon. When is Adam HaRishon being created? On Friday, nachon? Adam HaRishon created on Friday and sin on Friday, just before Erev Shabbat. Few minutes before Erev Shabbat. Our sages tell us that after the sin that Adam HaRishon eaten from Eitz Hadat, from the tree of knowledge, suddenly he feels that there is no more holiness around him. He suddenly understands the evil and the good. He realized that he done something wrong. He disappeared, he started to hide. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was calling him, Ayeka. What does it mean, Ayeka? You already hint to him, we see from here a hint, that because Adam HaRishon brought the Yetzer Hara, Bet HaMikdash is going to get destroyed. Ayeka. The same word as Echa. Ayeka. Nachon? Everything written in the Torah. That's what our sages say. That's what Hazal tell us. That there is nothing that's not mentioned in our Holy Torah. You want to find it, you have to search for it. You have to look for it. That even Megillat Echa mentioned in the early days of Sefer Bereshit. Let's move on. We know that the second temple got destroyed by Sinat Hinam, baseless hatred. Eiva, nachon? Yeah. If we took the word Eiva, why Eiva? Take the word Eiva. What does it bring us? Aleph, Yud, Bet, Hey. Nachon? We're not doing gematria. Eiva mean Echa, Aleph, Yashva, Bodeda, Ha'ir. Echa yashav badad ha'ir. That means that what caused the destruction, sinat hinam. So everything is written. Rabotai, when our sages tell us that sinat hinam was more during the second temple than the first temple, why? Here's it. Echa yashva badad ha'ir. How come that city have to be alone with no one? Hayta, the word hayta. Here we're going to start gematria. Will you help me? Hey, Yud, Taf. Hey, what's the gematria? Taf is 400. Yud is 10. 410, nachon? Hey is 5. Another one? 10. Together 420, nachon?
Yeah.
Why 420? What does it come to tell us?
How long the temple stood here?
Okay, the temple stood for 420 years. But look what it says in the pasuk. What's the connection? What does it mean, hayta? 420. Hayta ke'almana. Nachon, it said there, hayta ke'almana. That city was like a widow. What's the connection? The Torah already tell us. Our sages explain, Hazal explained that the main reason that city will stay like a widow, because we know that after the destruction of the first temple, 70 years later, been built the second temple. Almana, it means a widow. After 420 years that the second temple was exist, it's been destroyed, the second temple. Since then until today, that city is like a widow. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't build Bet HaMikdash. And if it's not built HaMikdash, where is the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? There is no one there. So everything hint to us just by the few words at the beginning of Echa. Just before I'm going to go to the translation, I want to go with you with a few ideas. You know that the main important thing in Megillat Echa, in the book of Echa, it's the kinot. Everyone know what is kinot before I carry on? No. Kinot, it's lamentation, am I right? You call it an English lamentation, am I right? That's the translation. Kinot. It's called lamentation. What's wrong, Philip?
Echa is lamentations.
So what is kinot?
Dirges.
Dirges.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Kinot is dirges?
It's like
I can't hear.
Same thing.
The same thing. Menachem says the same thing. Because the book of Echa, it's actually a book that describes the destruction. So kinot, when I looked at it, it's a lamentation, but maybe I'm wrong. But it's all. Sorry?
You are right.
Okay, thank you. So if you look carefully, the sequence of the Aleph Bet, the sequence of the otiyot, the letters Aleph Bet, in Megillat Echa in chapter 1, going according Echa, Aleph, start with Aleph. Yashva, you know? Echa Yashva Badad. So it's one. If you look, every pasuk have a different. Aleph Bet, Gimel Dalet. According to the Aleph Bet, the sequence. When it's come, Rabotai, to the second chapter, we see that here there is a problem. The letters Pei suddenly come before the letters Ain. Because we know that Ain come before Pei. Nachon, Gidon? What's happened here? Why? Sorry?
Put our mouths before our eyes.
Because?
Put our mouths before our
That's it. What does it mean? What has happened?
eyes.
Hazal explained that the main reason for is that they opened the mouth and they told lie, that the eyes didn't see. So here come the prophet and hint to us. Hazal come to teach us something very important. You didn't see something? Don't open your mouth. And that's why we have Ain before Pei. if you saw, you maybe took. Ein and pe. Pe, it's a mouse. Ein is an eye. Especially the Meraglim. What was their sin? They told something that they didn't see. So they opened the mouth for things that they never saw. So that's the sin that we're suffering until today, until the Mashiach will come. So now, we've done just the introduction. I'll do some, what we call it, some explanation for what we're reading. It says in chapter 1, I'm going to go through chapter 1, verse 3. Galta Yehuda me'oni. That means that Yehuda, the Jewish people that was in Eretz Israel, they gone to exile because poverty, nachon? But it's not true. They was rich first, until we explained that the Biryonim, the gangsters, come in the second time of the temple, and they burnt everything. And then they become poor. But Hazal say it's not so simple. Look at it deep. What was the punishment of that generation that they was deserved to go to exile? Focus on the word. Oni. What it mean, oni? Poverty. What do we eat on Pesach? Lechem oni. What is lechem oni? Matzah. Nachon. Hazal say because they didn't keep Pesach. Because here's a hint for you what can cause exile. Because that generation didn't keep Pesach, didn't eat lechem oni, been sent to exile. When you read the Megillah, the book of Eicha, we think it's just about the destruction. It tells us everything. You just have to go through the Mefarshim. What it means lechem oni? It's a matzah. And you remember many months ago I told you a story about how the first intifada started. Any one of you remember? Because it was a guy, a Muslim guy that's sitting in jail because he's been arrested. You know why he's arrested? Because he tried to do a media problem for Eretz Israel, and he tried to cause a bit of a problem. So Israel arrested him. He wasn't a gangster. He was one of our cousins that caused now plenty problem for us. While he was sitting in jail, it was Pesach. And he saw the guard that was watching him eating a sandwich, a bread sandwich. And when it was Erev Pesach. So if you eat on Pesach bread, he said to himself, and not eating matzah, that means that you not really believe in what you think. And if you don't believe, I can take the land from you. And that's how the first intifada started, Rabotai. So here's another hint from us from the Torah. Galta Yehuda me'oni, the main reason that the Jewish people gone to exile, they didn't keep the Torah or mitzvot. What is it? To eat matzah on Pesach. You didn't want to keep Pesach. No problem, I'll send you to exile. The Prophet come to teach us here how important is it, Rabotai, that we keep the law and the mitzvot of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In the same pasuk, in the same verse, it says, Merov avodah hi yashva bagoyim. What it mean, Merov avodah, from a lot of work, she sat amongst the goyim, amongst the Gentile. What are you trying to tell me here? What is the Prophet trying to tell me? The Prophet come to tell us the second thing that caused the destruction, avodah. What is avodah? Hazal say avodah zara. What it mean avodah zara? That because avodah zara, that's what caused the hurban. We say that three things was in the first destruction was shpichut damim, avodah zara, and gilui arayot, immorality. And above them was sinat hinam, baseless hatred. Everything is written. We have to look when we read the book of Eicha, we just have to focus to understand the Mefarshim. Merov avodah, that means because it was so much people worshipping idols, we lost the land. Has v'shalom. So it's come to tell us how much the Prophet here come to watch us, has v'shalom, from idol worshipping. I've gone over time. If you give me another 5 minutes, and with that I'm conclude. In chapter 1, verse 5, the Prophet tells us, Hayu sareya ke'ayalim. What does it mean, Hayu sareya ke'ayalim? Her minister was like a buck. Ayal is a buck. Did you see a minister? I know if you act, you say like a lion is strong, but a buck. What is it, a buck? What does it come to tell us? What is the Prophet come to hint to us here? So Ayalim is a buck. The Midrash tells us something very interesting. Why did the Prophet use that word, Ayal, a buck? When it's very hot, what does the buck do? Anyone have any idea? Who's a farmer here? No, Menachem. What they do, they join together, they create a group, they put the head down, that the sun will never hit them in the head. So what they do, they create like a big circle, that they're all together. Listen to that miracle of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How the animal know how to do that? They put the head down until the sun a bit getting disappear, and it's not so strong, then they lift it up. Why? So the sun wouldn't hit them on the head. So when they don't have shelter, that's how they protect themselves. The prophets say here to the Jewish ministers, to the Jewish people that was in that time, where you been? You saw the nation sinning, and you putting your head in the ground like those bucks that try to protect themselves from the sun. Why you didn't prove them? Why you didn't provoke the Jewish people? Try to ask them to make tshuva. That's what the Navi Yirmiyah say here. Ve'hayu sareya ke'ayalim. That you people that was the head, the leaders, where did you disappear? You saw the Jewish people sinning. And you act like a buck, that you put your head down on the ground like you don't see what's happening, just to protect yourself. What is the leader come to tell us? Sorry, what's the prophet come to tell us here? That as a leader, it's our job to teach. And if when someone done something wrong, not just to go and shout. Speak to him nicely.
If you see an Avera and you don't say anything, it's like you did the Avera. That was the whole thing with the Scheta Egel.
Not only that, before that, what's happened with Noah? Noah ish tzaddik tamim haya bedorotav. Remember, we spoke about it. We brought that our sages said that he was good. Some people said that Noah wasn't. You remember in Parashat Noah?
Yes.
We explained that. We took all the different. Why? Because Noah in generation he can do, but if he was in a generation of Avraham Avinu, that everyone was idol worshipping, he couldn't do nothing. And Avraham Avinu was Avraham Ivri. What does it mean, Ivri? Me'ever lanahar. That means that everyone was on one side, and he by himself. He said that he is God. Until then, no one believed that there is God. And the Midrash say it was in the age of 3 years old. Do you understand that? We don't understand who was Avraham Avinu. What does it mean, Avinu? Our father Avraham. Because without Avraham Avinu, we wouldn't be here. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wouldn't look at us. Why are we special than other nations? You know why? Why did we more special than other nations? Did you ask yourself? Why? Because we got the Torah? Yes, because we got the Torah. But what brought us to get the Torah? Sorry?
Chosen nation.
Okay, but how did we become the chosen nation? What? You think that we're so strong? We are the majority. How many times we've been killed, prosecuted? We are Manetzach, we know. But what gave us that merit? You know what? Sorry? We have? Okay. But still, what bring you to make the chosen nation?
Abraham chose to be allowed to go.
Abraham.
Yeah.
Why? But why Abraham?
He was the first one to destroy the idols.
Because Abraham Avinu realized
Yeah, idols.
that there is God.
Yeah. Correct.
What does it mean there is God? Because we use our brain. Abraham Avinu, when he came out, for 3 years, his parents hid him. Do you remember that I told you? Inside the tunnels. In a cave. Because Nimrod HaRasha wanted to kill him. Because Nimrod HaRasha saw, and his advisors told him that Terah will have a son, and he's going to cause you problem. When he realized that, he wanted to kill him. His parents hid him where? In a cave. After 3 years, when he came out, he saw a sun. He started worshipping the sun. When it's come night, he saw, darkness come with all the army, with all the star. I have to bow to him. He win the sun. Start worshipping. The following morning, the same. The Midrash say. Until he screamed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he said, Borei Olam, you that created that world, please, show me who you are. And he was crying. Until HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent him a word of prophecy. And he realized to understand that there is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when we decide to be that nation, we become the chosen nation. And may please God, this year we're not going to celebrate anymore, if we can call it celebrate, Tisha B'Av. And please God, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bring Bet HaMikdash b'mera b'yamenu. And as our sages say, Menachem Av, that's mean Av, it's mean a father. It's going to be the father to all the Jewish festival. Av lekol hagim. That we'll never have any more sadness, please God. And our boys, and those mothers that worried, and those wives that's sitting at home. I was speaking today to Jay Kush, and he said to me, I said to him, how's things in Israel with your kids? He said, my daughter's stressed. I said, why? He said, his son is in Gaza. I said, now I understand why she's stressed. How can she not be stressed? May please God, this year HaKadosh Baruch Hu will send Mashiach and we'll have Bet HaMikdash and we're not going to have any more stress.